to the Hooked on Horses session here at Pretty Pony Pastures. Today we're doing treats for horses, and we're going to talk about different types of foods that are treats for your horses and foods that you shouldn't give your horses. But before we make a treat for our horses, let's look at some of the foods that horses can eat and some of the foods that they can't eat. Just because the food is good for us doesn't necessarily mean that it's good for your horses. And just like food for your horses isn't necessarily good for us. So some of the foods I'm going to show you, you probably know, and some of them you don't know. So I'm going to bring up the screen and we're going to go through different types of foods. Some of them you feed your horse and some of them you don't. So here we have a screen with 9 different types of foods. So I think everybody knows that this one right here is an apple. So do you think apples are good for your horses? Let's click on it and find out. Yes, they are. And you can see that apples have vitamin C in it, vitamin K, vitamin E, and fiber. And all of these are important for your horse. So apples are an excellent choice of food for your horses. How about carrots? I'm sure if you have a horse, most of you feed your horse carrots, but how good is a carrot for your horse? Carrots are an excellent food for your horse. They have a healthy digestive system function. They promote gut integrity, which means that it keeps your horse's gut moving. And that's something that you want because you know we can get colic if our horse's gut doesn't move properly. Now, here's something I didn't realize, that it can be a natural intestinal wormer. I wouldn't say feed carrots and don't worm your horse, but if you feed them carrots, that will help the worming process and help them keep less worms, have less worms in their body. It also improves their immune system and it promotes healthy skin, shiny coat. It is a great food for their entire body. How about cabbage? Now, some of you may like cabbage and some of you may not. That shouldn't decide whether you give it to your horse or not. So think about it. Would you give cabbage to your horse? Well, let's click on it and find out. Nope. Cabbage is not a food to give your horse because it has gas buildup. It can cause colic, and that in itself will be painful for your horse. So any type of food that's a gaseous food, like cabbage, you do not want to give to a horse. Now over here we have cantaloupe. If this was a live Zoom broadcast, I would ask you to raise your hand if you thought that cantaloupe should be fed to your horse. But think about it. Should cantaloupe be fed to your horse? I know a lot of us who love cantaloupe. Would we share it? Most definitely. Cantaloupe has beta carotene, which is good for the eyes, potassium, vitamin C, folic acid, B vitamins, antioxidants for their immune system. Cantaloupe is an awesome food for your horses. And I also put up a picture of a watermelon because both of these are melons. Even the rind, the part that we don't like to eat on a watermelon, is healthy. It's a good source of fiber, potassium, and amino acids. Now, how about tomatoes? Most of us enjoy that sweet tomato in our salad, but should we give that to our horse? No. Tomatoes are related to the nightshade family, and that is poisonous. Actually, the entire tomato is poisonous or toxic to horses, and that includes not only the fruit itself, but the stems and the leaves. So if you grow tomatoes in your garden and you have a horse in the paddock, make sure that your tomatoes aren't anywhere near your horse. You don't want your horse to kind of like reach over and try to grab a tomato. The alkaloid in the tomato will slow the gut function, and again, that can cause colic, it can cause diarrhea. So tomatoes are a big no for your horse. Here we have grapes. Now, I like grapes. We should not give grapes or raisins to our dog. What do you think about horses? Should we give grapes to our horses? The answer is yes. The horses love grapes. They're a good and healthy food for them. It helps with hydration. And if you remember when I talked about water for a horse in another episode, that the horses need a lot of water. So grapes will help with the water content. They also provide fiber. But grapes can have a lot of sugar in it. They can be very sweet. So limit the amount of grapes you give your horse to no more than 10 to 20 grapes, and that's over a 2-week period. And try to give your horse seedless grapes because we don't want to have any issues in the gut with the seeds. Our next food up here is the pumpkin. Now, we all like pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns at Halloween. Pumpkin pie is great at Thanksgiving. Should we share any of this with our horse? Well, the answer is yes. Pumpkins are an excellent food for horses. And again, they're rich in vitamins like A, E, B3, and B9. It's carotene, good for the eyes, a lot of fiber, copper, calcium, potassium, phosphorus. Even the seeds are good for your horses. But this I have to caution you on. If you've got a jack-o'-lantern that you used for Halloween and you put a candle inside, do not give that pumpkin to your horse because the flesh of the pumpkin is going to absorb the carbon from the candle that you lit, and that would be bad for your horse. So if it's been carved but no candle and it's not moldy, that's the other thing we always have to watch for when we feed melons or pumpkins is mold, then by all means give it to your horse. Now here we have broccoli. What do you think about broccoli? Even if you don't like it, is that something you should give your horse? Absolutely not. Broccoli belongs to that gassy family, and it can cause colic. So no broccoli to the horse. Now I have a story about the broccoli. I didn't realize when I first got my first horse that you couldn't give broccoli to a horse, or you shouldn't give broccoli to a horse. So I cut off a couple of the flowery parts and thought I'd give my horse a treat. Well, I will tell you, my horse took 2 bites of the broccoli and spit it right back into my face. So even the horse knew, broccoli, no way. The last thing we have here is strawberries. What do you think about strawberries? Is this a yes or a no for your horse? Actually, strawberries is a yes because it is rich in vitamins, fibers, antioxidants, minerals, water. It's got a high level of vitamin C, E, and K. It's got magnesium, phosphorus, calcium, and potassium. A great food for your horse. But again, this is a food that we should only give a little bit to. No strawberry shortcakes here. Because strawberries, if they eat too many, can cause bloating. And once a horse feels bloated, they're not going to eat their hay or their grain. And that will be a bad thing. So a few strawberries on the plate with apples and carrots, great salad for your horse. So we know what we can feed our horses, but the other thing I want to mention is how you feed your horses. At our farm, we always feed our horse from a treat dish. Actually, that's a Frisbee, but for our horses, it is a treat dish. Some farms will put the treats in their feed dish. Some will put it in a bucket. Anything like that is a great way to feed treats to your horses. We try to discourage feeding our horses from our hand because when we feed our horse from our hand, then the horse is going to start mugging us and will want to think that every time you see a hand, that is a treat for the horse. So no feeding out of the hand at our farm. Always treat your horse from a treat dish or from a bucket. So always do it the safe way. Now it's time to show you how to do that no-bake recipe. You're not going to need an oven for this. We're just going to do it on our kitchen island. And so let's go to the kitchen and make our no-bake cookies. So here we are in the kitchen. And we have a very simple recipe here. It's a no-bake recipe. Few ingredients. You can do it in like about 10-15 minutes tops. So one of the ingredients we need is oats. Now you can use any type of oats you want. I'm using the quick 1-minute oats, but you can use the oats that require cooking. Either one will work. The other thing that we need is water. We need 2 ounces, 1/4 cup of water. And the last thing that we need is molasses. Now, you can use molasses if you have it in the house, and I know some people don't have molasses in the house because they use it so infrequently. So you can substitute for molasses. If you don't have molasses, honey will work, because honey is sweet, honey is gooey, and what we want is something that's sweet and will make the oats stick to itself. Or if you don't have honey, regular pancake syrup will work. It doesn't have to be pure maple. It can be a regular pancake syrup. This one has butter in it. I would try to use one that doesn't have butter, doesn't have cinnamon or anything, just pure pancake syrup. So that's all we need: oats, water, and molasses. So we're going to put in 1 cup of oats. Now, we could add the water and then the molasses, but I find it's a lot easier if you put the molasses in the water, stir it up so that it dissolves a little bit, comes to one consistency, and then put it into the oats. And you can see this is very gooey. You want to have a washcloth or something near you so that you can wipe your fingers when you're done. Like I said, I like to put it into the water first and let it kind of just drip in there and then stir it. The water is going to turn a murky brown. It's not going to look very appetizing, but that's okay because it is molasses and it is water, and it's going to get the oats to stick to itself. And so we're going to pour it into our oats. And then we're going to mix it up. Now at first it's going to be pretty dry, but you want to keep pushing it and mixing it so that everything gets moist. You don't want it to be soupy, but you don't want it to be super dry. All right, so it's nice and everything is moist and molassesy. The last thing you want to do is you want to make it into balls. And so I take a generous tablespoon, roll it into a ball, put it on a dish, and then push a carrot slice into the cookie. So it's like thumbprint cookies for your horses. From this, I probably can get about 7 or 8 cookies. I've got 7 horses, so 7 would be the optimal number to have. So each horse gets a treat. You know, horses are just like kids. If everybody doesn't get one, they get jealous of each other. And so I always try to make sure that if one horse gets a treat, they all get a treat. So it is sticky. It's not too bad sticky, but you do want to have something nearby to wash your hands with afterwards. And the other thing is, once you have it all done, put it in the refrigerator, because right now it's pretty warm, pretty gooey, and so you're going to want to put it in the refrigerator, let it harden up a little bit, firm up I should say, and then you can give it to your horses. And as always, we want to give it to the horses on a dish. We don't ever want to feed the horses from our hands. So, yep, nice and gooey hands here. My last one. And there we have it, our treats for our horses. So there you have it, no bake cookies for your horses. If you'd like that recipe, send me an email or send me a personal message and I'll be more than happy to share it with you. It's a great treat for your horses. I checked the ingredients. They're all fine if you have a dog. I don't know about cats, but dogs could have these cookies as well. So thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video. Be sure to share it with your friends. If you're watching on Facebook, be sure that you like our page so you'll see when our next video is posted. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to ring the bell. And then you'll be notified when our next video is posted. And for our Instagram friends, be sure you follow us so that when our next video comes up, you'll see it in your news feed. Thanks for watching.